Welcome to Songs of Syx. I am the Fiend, and as you can see in the title, this is the Human Tutorial Series. For those who have played plenty of Songs of Syx and don't want to watch a tutorial, that's fine. But there is a lot to learn, and it's going to go further than a tutorial. This will be covering early, mid, and late game as I understand it, and going over all of the tips and tricks that I know. If you know your own tips and tricks, be sure to leave them in the comments. I always like to learn from other players. I am very active on the Discord with Jake, the developer, and also plenty of the community members asking questions all the time and also answering your questions. So if you're on the Discord for Songs of Syx, you'll see me very frequently. All that advertisement aside, here we are in our tutorial series. Why is it a tutorial series? Well, because when I started my channel, I started as a human tutorial channel. Or basically series, sorry. That was the first thing I put out on my channel. Having made over 400 episodes now of different series, I felt it was time to go back to the humans and do a new tutorial. I get a lot of questions from people asking how to do specific things, and I will do my best to cover those answers. Sometimes I skim over things. I've played over 500 hours now, I believe. I think 550. And I skim over things because there's been so many updates and so many changes. For example, this little UI is different. Everything is different constantly. So, when you start this game, if you've just purchased it or you have a demo version, you'll have a very different version than me. Sometimes I'll be on the beta, sometimes I will also be on the alpha. Things like canals change. So there's old videos of my canal. Those are outdated. Most of those videos are outdated, and instead of deleting them, which I probably should, or at least put them into like a private catalog of old outdated videos, I just keep them up because they help grow the channel. And that's okay. Nobody's coming after me for that. Here we are, though. We're on the corner of the map. We have a little throne room, some stone, wood, grain, rations, and livestock. Immediately, most players' first thought is to build a farm because the tutorial tells you to build a farm. If you were to build a farm in this case, it will take you decent amount of time, and they will still not have a food source, and you will have nothing to actually refine in the bakery. You could set some global foraging options like this, so I'm going to start with that. Ideally, you won't have a big river like this, but there's nothing on the other side, so it doesn't matter. We can click from one corner, scroll out, and go all the way to the other side here, and then just drop this. Make sure you see the red checker pattern there, and then that will get all of these forage options covered. There's obviously some like probably up here like this one that I didn't get, but that's fine, and they will go and do those in their respective seasons. That will solve your foraging needs. They could get easily enough grain. Usually there's some good grain there. Usually they can get enough grain to keep your people fed, but it doesn't look like there's too much grain on this map. But that's okay, because we're not interested in grain right now. What we're interested in it is an oric pasture here. So ideally we'd like to build a pasture somewhere where it's fertile. So if you look and you scroll out, you can see it's darker in these areas. It gets darker. This is very good fertile ground for pastures. This, however, is not as good. It's okay, and I think for the start, that's what we're gonna have to use. And we'll just hook up some canals to it. So that's the road that comes in right here. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to keep in line with this road because I'm gonna use that 1, 2, so that's there. I'm gonna use that road as part of my plan for the city. And I'm also going to build a very, very large... Actually, no, I think I'm going to take that back. I was going to build a large one, but I changed my mind. I just want to make sure that that lines up right there. The reason I'm ignoring these dirt roads is because they don't fit the scheme of my city idea. Ideally, I want the road to come out here, go straight down, connect through everything, and then this road will go up and over. And those will be the two main roads. They will be 7 lanes wide. And then the other side roads will be 3 or 5. This road here, I'll try to make it 7, connecting to the throne. But the throne isn't going to be here forever. It's just here temporarily. The throne will ideally be at the end of this road here, connected. And there will be a nice castle, and there'll be some farms outside of the castle on this land here. And it will be beautiful. While we wait for that, I will go over a little bit of human stats here. Humans love the open. They also don't prefer warm or cold over temperate, so they like temperate climates. They prefer grand buildings over stone, wood. They also like outdoors and mountains, so they're not opposed to pretty much anything. If you go in here, you can see they have a wide variety of things they dislike, and if you're questioning how to get to this, you just right click on your character and you'll see this question mark, and it'll give you all sorts of different details. Things with the down arrow obviously are the things you want to avoid, so starving, slaves. The more down arrows, the more up arrows, the more value they see in them. So for example, somebody said, I cared a lot about immigration. If you look, often there's an option for immigration or immigrants that makes them mad. Indoctrination, immigrant, here it is. So down 2. In comparison, something like judgment is equal to immigration. So I probably shouldn't care too much where being a former slave or having desecration, crime, those are much more serious to them. And they'll be much less happy because of them. You can also see their properties from this screen here. It tells you basically all the properties. And you can set decrees. You can prosecute the whole race, send them to jail, or you can declare a day off, which will boost their happiness. You can make them work overtime, which gets you a little bit more boost, and you can also give a handout if you had some money, which I don't. All of these different tabs will give you different grades, as I like to call them. So you can see our population, we have a 9.0 out of 10.5. Only reason, we don't have any nobles. We also have no slaves. If we got that, that's 0.5 of the current fulfillment, and this one is 1. That would be filled all the way. So they hate immigration. These are all native people. Ideally, you have to take in at least 10 guys to start, or 11, sorry, to start your growth. So I'm going to take in at least 11 of them and then start raising our own so we have natives. Natives are always going to be a little happier than immigrants. Then you look at your access tab. They have preferences to food. We're just going to set it to whatever right now because there's no reason to, I think. They're almost done with this. They're getting there. Just want to make sure they don't go too fast in the background. You can see that the current fulfillment for things like food days is 2.0. You can see food preferences 2.0. Rations 4.0. So each one of these provides a boost to that access there. Clothes 4.0. So we have 2 out of 4, etc., etc. You can give them access to furniture. I always recommend giving them wood as it's usually cheap and available. And that will boost up your furniture a little bit, not too much. Jumping into services, the same exact thing. You see there's 24.75. Some of them are more valuable than others. Others aren't. So, for example, stage, a little more valuable. Fight pit, much more valuable. Grand arena, very valuable. Tavern, bathhouse, wells. All of these things have different values to them. And based on that value, you have to try to focus. So, I think lavatories being at 3 is an important one. So you're going to want to make sure your lavatories are high. That will give you an immediate couple points to your services. You can see we have 0 on our services across the board. For environment, it's the same kind of concept, but each one of these is a little different. So space, for example, our people, humans, like space, open space. They also prefer lighting. They do not like noise. So the more noise there is throughout the city, they will start to have problems. But you can see it's only 0.5. It's not the biggest deal. These are 0.15, 0.2, and 0.1. So if you got all those up there, your noise wouldn't matter. Soldiers, 1. So each one of these is going to help boost the environment. Religion, same thing. Occupation, government, I don't have to go over it because it's all self-explanatory. If you hover over it, you can see that fulfillment and the current value is 0. I think that it's easiest to understand when you don't have anything. And then once you start to get it, you can kind of put together. I did think about getting one of the titles to allow me to have a higher population. I have a bunch of titles. I was going to get this first of their name and get a boost to my starting population, but I chose not to. I chose some of these other ones, like Artisan, the Richest of Kings, Warden of North, etc. So things like that, they'll give me a little bit of a boost. So as you can see, they're still working on this pasture here because I put it over some trees, and we've lost 2 livestock in the time I've been sitting here, and they've ran out of food. So before they starve to death, I'm actually gonna set a hunt option. Oh no, they're good. They're gonna grab these fruits or these vegetables. Sorry. That's why you always want to set a forage option, because they'll go out there and actually get some stuff. I'll have that speed up. I need them to finish this up. Alright, now that we have this going, saying we got 10 workers there, we're going to drop it down to 5 for right now. They're going to go and grab livestock from here, and they're going to put them in here. While they do that, we're going to want to build a warehouse next door. I'll build a simple warehouse. Alright, there we go. That's a better warehouse. And then I can make a house. And I made it out of mud by accident, so I wanted to change it anyways. We're going to put a house right here connected to the back. But I also want to put a janitor. Janitors are the other thing that you need the most of in this game. So get used to putting janitors down. And you can put them in the small variant. I don't think they need to be too big. And I'll put it right there. And then we're going to put a house like so. Actually, we'll offer 30 spaces. Like that. So we're going to let them get to work. We've got our herders herding. We've got our workers working. So warehouse, janitor, houses, well, hearth, and a speaker are the next step to your city. Nothing else. You could go for a carpenter right now, but you're going to want some housing so that people are happy enough to live here. And they don't rebel. They don't revolt. We'll also put a road in here. Alright, so we got our well, our hearth, our speaker, and our warehouse up and running. We're going to allot 1 worker here. We're going to give them space for some meat, livestock, wood, stone, future furniture, and leather, because we have leather coming in. We'll have some space also for grain, cotton, herbs, opiates, vegetables, fruit, mushrooms, and I believe any spare rations. We don't have any more rations, but we'll put 1 slot for bread. You can see immediately that took out all of our space, and we'll put 1 in for clothes as well. If we can upgrade that, that would be great. But for now, we're just going to keep it as is. You can clear these out by clicking on them, or just right-clicking on that altogether, and it'll remove them. So, straight away, that boosted their happiness. Their happiness is going up, having those 3 different services. If I look, their services should be up there. They're only at the 50 point because they're not upgraded. They're at 50% currently, or 33%, I'd say. Because it only upgrades 33 and then another 33. But in reality, it gives you above 50% so that you don't feel like you're not doing well. Speakers, on the other hand, someone commented that if you have one speaker and he goes and takes a break, that's why you lose that service. So if you want it above 60%, early on it's not really valuable, but you put another speaker in, and they will go and actually work this one while the other one is not. Sometimes, not always. It's not always the case. But I like that idea. I think that's a smart idea. You can see we have speakers and a hearth. The hearth gets upgraded. That would be making it 100%, or roughly 98%. You don't need too many hearths in your city comparatively to wells. And once you get bathing, you don't need that many wells. So now we can get humans. I'm going to authorize until we get 21. And I also need to make sure that we're grabbing fruit, because if we can get some fruit from over here, awesome. There's some that was pulled. I'm going to put a fruit orchard. There we go, 268 fruit to make this beautiful orchard, fruit orchard. We can allow another human in. We've got the other speaker going. Got the janitor. It's auto-employed. I do not want that. And actually, I want to start removing all of this crusty dirt road here. Being very, very careful not to destroy my pasture by accident. Oh, well that sucks. I wanted those to be over 1. Next, you want to build a food stall. After we got all that fixed, I had to kind of rearrange this area here. Oh, speaking of which, as I almost ruined what I had just started, I want to leave 7 spaces from the road there. So ideally, we want to give a little bit of space for future builds. And then do that. So 80. We have the food stall here going. Had to move the hearth, the well, and the speakers to the side. We're clearing up all this dirt road. Kind of making a nice little organized city. And for now, since our throne is here, we will put a road there. And it's only a dirt road, so it's not going to cost too much. Or cost anything. Alright, here we are. We've got 21 humans. Straight away, I'd like to get a nursery. It's going to cost me some fabric and some furniture. I don't have that, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to make a crafter or a refining place. You can make a carpenter, or you could go for the weaving option as well. Some people are really early with that one, and they use this spare cotton they get and they turn it into fabric right away. For me, I'm going to build a carpenter. I find that the carpenter is the easiest to go for. Then the laboratory next. Then a tailor. And all those other guys after. So this is kind of our pasture area. This is where people are going to live and work. We have some more pasture stuff going on over here. Ideally, I'd like to separate this by a nice area here. So we're going to make a road going down like this. And then we're going to make a carpenter. Alright, so we're going to have a carpenter over here. It's going to take a little bit of materials, but that's not too bad. We're building these stone buildings now so that I don't have to build them later. We're going to let them get to work on that. We also put a few more guys in the orc pasture so that they could tend to all these animals. And we're selling excess stuff to our neighbors here. Spare opiates and herbs. Things like that. So if you're unaware, you've not ever done a trade deal, you can go for trade like this, but you don't have enough people to actually get the trade depots. So in order to actually make some money, You just go in here and you can select this slider and you can use your resources, send them over to a neighbor. You can either ask for more resources like this, you can type it in, or you could just manually click until you see the value equals what you'd like. I like to give them a little bit more value so that their happiness goes up. And we're giving away free things that don't matter. So like I had a full storage of leather. There's 95 more here. We have plenty of leather. There's no concern. So I sent that right over. Actually, too, I might want to steal or take some of his fruit. How much is he giving away fruit for? 26 a pop. That's pretty expensive, but we're going to have a lot of stuff we can sell. So, for example, wood. I'll just send him wood. If you are running out of food and you have no food at all, this is very easy to do. 130 fruit, 128 fruit, whatever. They'll send that over, or you could have it set for grain. Usually grain is a little cheaper. And he's going to send that fruit over, and that's going to get put into this construction job over here, hopefully. We really need to get these fruit orchards filled up. Yep, here he is. He's dropped it off. And he drops the rest off at the capital. Alright, now we've got a carpenter up and running. It's auto going to employ everybody in our entire city. I'm going to put 4 guys in there. That should be good. You can also put a hauler if you have a spare amount of workers. Personally, right now, the amount of workers I have, I don't think that's worth it. I could easily just have a guy come over here and chop a tree down and have that right there. And there's a trap that a lot of new players go for where they put woodcutters everywhere. Woodcutters, they really don't produce as much wood as you'd like them to. They produce good wood, don't get me wrong, but they don't produce a lot. And the guys that are there aren't doing other jobs like this. So these odd jobbers are doing other jobs. They can clear wood, they can do whatever. But when they're woodcutter, they kind of stuck there, and they are where they are. So now that we have all of this set up, we have a carpenter, food stall, we have a warehouse, janitor, and a few houses. I'd like to actually expand my houses. So what I'm going to do for this is everything seems to be in 3s. We're going to do another 3 houses over here. And that way, this area will be kind of set up pretty well. I don't want to add too many services. Ideally, I'd like to keep the amount of services that's necessary. And of course, that stupid little bit of road there. So we're going to do that. And we may build a copy of that on the other side here. So we're almost at the amount of fruits we need. Springtime, they're going to have to go and start harvesting soon. I think in late summer. So we're still going to have to wait for that. So what I'll do is I'll do another trade. Give them all the stuff we don't care about here. Some livestock, some wood. Alright, 237. Perfect. That's going to be enough to get this fruit orchard going. Alright, we'll put that there like that. And then I'm also going to put a fence around it. Alright, so now we have the fruit orchard up. It requires 20 guys, which I didn't think about when I made it. But we have 7 currently working there, which is fine. I'm going to keep importing a few guys. Ideally, we want this fruit orchard to be up and running before we get babies going anyways, because fruit is the only way that you can create babies. And unless you have a good fruit production, they will all starve to death and die. So we have them out there foraging now. Everything that they're doing in the city is just foraging. I'm going to get them to hopefully bring in some good stuff this year. Alright, so now, after we've got the fruit orchard going, we have to get a few more people. We keep importing a few guys at a time. Don't do the full amount of aspiring immigrants, because usually that will drop the happiness a little too low to recover. Also, I'm importing bread for wood. I'm selling all of my spare wood here, and I'm just importing good chunks of bread, whatever, a couple hundred bread. And I'm not making bread. I know a lot of people will probably be frowning upon that idea. I'm not using my grain to make bread. Not yet. I have too many other tasks at hand. I need to get a laboratory going. I need to get this fruit orchard actually up to how many people it needs. And it needed 20, so we need just a few more guys. So we could do that. Just a few more guys, and it'll be perfect. And it'll be 54 days, a couple years until this is up and running. Once we get that up and running, we can get babies going. We've got our laboratory going. Good, we've cleared out all that wood that we were holding inside this pasture here. Awesome, now we have the import-export depots. I'm gonna put an export depot right on the exit here. We're gonna have our export depot area over here. Start out simple, like that. Then we're gonna also have a nice warehouse in here too. Awesome. Now we have a lavatory. This will boost our happiness significantly, giving them access to a new service altogether. And it is a quite large lavatory at that. We have a laboratory on the way as well, right next to the lavatory. Alright, now we've got a lavatory. The market isn't complete yet, but now that we have those two up, we can work on that. We need some housing, so we'll activate these right here. We'll also build a little bit more road. And the important part of the laboratory, not the laboratory, is that we can get some services going. We need a stage and we need an arena ASAP. Or a fight pit. And we're working on getting our tailor going here. Seem to need so much stone all the time. We run out very quickly. Alright. After some time, I finally got what I'd consider your early game setup. You can do a different variety of these types of setups, but this is personally my favorite. I find this to be the most efficient, the most beneficial. I usually go a little bigger than most people. You can see I have a large stage and I also have the large arena. I have a large orchard, large pasture, and the most available slots for hunters. So during this all, I accidentally got close to running out of food. That is something that is typical of the fiend behavior. But I have 100 people, I have no slaves, and I could get 26 more if I'd like. This is now running, so they're producing quite a bit of fruit per year, and I'd like to turn their access off for fruit, so they don't take all my fruit and eat it. We're going to turn that off too, so that'll get put into production for the nurseries. In the next episode, I'm going to focus on getting my nurseries up and running. I'll probably put a nursery in here, or somewhere around there, and remove my throne and move it down the road further. We have this hunter. This guy was put up so that I don't run out of food. We were running so close to out of food, but now that we have this up, they're going to go out, grab some meat, come back, bring it to this little warehouse, and people will have something to eat at the food stall. We have a lavatory. We have a laboratory. We got the arena, which I had mentioned, the fight pit. A stage. We have 2 nice wells, 2 nice speakers, a single hearth. We don't need more than one, in my opinion. We have a tailor. There's no one working at the tailor right now, so we could actually pop that up. And we have a carpenter. There's 11 guys. We'll have 10 work there. We'll have 3 work at the tailor. And that is it. That is all I have in this little town here. I have 2 little warehouses at the ends so that there's storage space for the janitors. Janitors have to go and grab a material. They usually will place it on their table here. You can see they have stone and some furniture on there. they will then go and put that to where it needs to go. Easier if they have access next door to some furniture or something like that, so they can grab it, put it in their janitor station, and then quickly bring it to where it needs to go. Other than that, I think this is the best start for a human city I have done in a while. It's been up and down here and there. Definitely a little bit of struggle, and I also forgot to put the shrine to a 30 earlier, so I put that in between when I was editing. So now that's there. The humans are very, very happy. Their services are up there. We could get a tavern, we could get bathhouses and other things very easily as their knowledge is so high. And I've just been focusing on getting things like hunting. We have stone roads. Speaking of stone roads, actually, well, I say that, we should put our stone roads in now. Because we can. It's only going to cost us a couple hundred stone, and we have plenty of it. So we'll get that going. And yeah, while we do that, I also should comment on the fact that we are Rome. I didn't change my name yet. I'd like to do that. Our visual, we're going to be New Rome. Oh, I had a caps lock on. New Rome. And I'm Emperor Fetus. I'm going to keep this. I might change it in the future, but I'm usually too lazy to deal with this because you never see your flag in general. I'd also like to look at the map here. So we're literally in Europe. I decided to make it a European map, and we're gonna conquer everybody if I can, at least. We're gonna do so as New Rome. First, we must conquer the Roman Italian peninsula here. Watered, Legiec, Pervane, all these shitty little guys, and then go down here. Carthage. Over here, Bonac, and they've got a few little spaces to have territory on. Carthage really isn't that big, but I think this guy is. This is kind of like Carthage right here. And these are Mevians living over here. Interesting. That is one of the only places I've ever seen the Mevians live. Oh, actually, here they are. There's a bunch of them. So they seem to like to live along coastlines. Very, very long coastlines and on water. So we're gonna have to face off against a few different Mevian groups in order to conquer that area. A lot of different species around us here. And with the Rolly, he's got a small army. We could definitely take him out. I'm already there, basically. Oh, speaking of which, I have no training grounds. I completely forgot that. At 100 people, you should have a training ground, and you should have some guys training, and I completely forgot that. And that is my bad. I'm actually going to put a little building for next time, because it's getting late where I am. I'm just going to put a little building like that, put a little training dummy in there so I know to build an actual one next time. 2 guys can train there. But, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I look forward to the next one. Goodbye.